Biggie's daughter just inherited a $200 million empire, and how she's living right now is insane. Tiana Wallace owns a Brooklyn house worth $1.5 million, a clothing line she started out of a college dorm, a museum she built inside her own storefront, and this fall, she opens a steakhouse in Manhattan named after her father. She was 3 years old when he was shot dead in Los Angeles. Nobody was ever arrested for it, and when Christopher Wallace died in 1997, he left his daughter $10 million. So how did she end up with 200? To answer that, we gotta go back to Brooklyn, because the girl who owns all of it today barely knew the man who made it. Tiana Dream Wallace was born in Brooklyn in 1993 to Christopher Wallace and his high school girlfriend, Jan Jackson.
Sometimes you gotta live in the shadow of your famous parents. Yeah. And do you ever feel like that?
Wait, hold on. I've never seen that's his baby mama, his first baby mama? They low-key look like twinsies. Twinsies! I never, unless this is AI, cuz. This might be AI, man. This might not even be how his baby mama look. You never know in today's time, man.
Girlfriend Jan Jackson.
Sometimes you gotta live in the shadow of your famous parents. Yeah. And do you ever feel like that?
It comes with the name. I feel like that's one of those things where it's like, your dad is Biggie. You can't really knock that.
Her parents separated before her first birthday. She was raised by her mother.
Oh, never mind. That is his baby mama.
In the same borough her father was about to make famous. And a year later, she was on camera. In the Juicy video, there's a little girl. That's her. She's the daughter he was rapping about when he talked about providing. The reason the money mattered in the first place. She was 3 years old when he was killed. That matters here, because it means Tiana Wallace has no adult memory of her father and no memory at all of him having money. Everything that carries his name today, the catalog, the licensing, the $200 million valuation, was built by other people while she was in elementary school. She said in interviews that she learned who her father was the same way the rest of us did, from the records, from her mother, from Lil C's, who she still goes to with questions about what her dad was actually like.
That's right.
What memories, if any, do you have of your father?
I don't personally have any memories, but oh my gosh, if I can count the many times that my mom's telling me stuff, Faye's telling me stuff, C's.
All right, listen here, little Biggies, whatever your name is. You gotta take the sticker off your glasses. But look, shout out to Lil C's. Salute to Lil C's for staying. You know, a lot of homies say when you die, I'm gonna take care of your kids. I'm gonna be in your kids' life forever. But then, you know, niggas die and 3-4 years go by and you stop seeing the homie that said that. But this is tight to see that, you know, Biggie Smalls passed away in the 90s and his homeboy, Lil C's, is still in his daughter's life today and able to share the stories they have together and, you know, talk about her dad's legacy and his life and those behind-the-scenes stories that she probably would want to hear and know. That's tight, man. That's tight as fuck.
Telling me stuff.
By the time she got to Penn State, she was studying business and working the campus cafeteria for extra money.
What do you do? What do you do?
I work at the school caf.
Cafeteria?
So it's like work study, kind of.
Yes.
School cafeteria.
Yeah.
The daughter of one of the most valuable estates in rap, wiping down tables in a college dining hall. That's the part that gets left out of every version of this story. And on that Sunday morning in March, everything her father built stopped growing. He was in Los Angeles for the Soul Train Awards, and he'd spent that Saturday night at an after party at the Peterson Automotive Museum on Wilshire. Just after midnight, he left. He was in the front passenger seat of a GMC Suburban. The truck stopped at a red light on Wilshire and Fairfax. A dark sedan pulled up on the passenger side. The driver rolled down his window and opened fire. Christopher Wallace was pronounced dead at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. He was 24 years old.
Communities are mourning the death of the rapper known as Notorious B.I.G.
He died on my birthday, y'all. I remember waking up on March 9th, whatever year this was. It was my birthday, March 9th. And that was the first thing I saw on the news. Rapper Notorious Big murdered last night. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. So whenever my birthday, I always remember that. Whenever somebody talk about his death, I always remember that it happened on my birthday.
Nobody has ever been arrested for it. Almost 30 years. No charges, no conviction, no answer. He was cremated at Fresh Pond Crematory in Queens, and his ashes were split among his family. 16 days later, Life After Death came out. Now here's the part that shaped the next
amazing
3
album,
decades, and it has nothing to do with the shooting. Biggie died without a will. 24 years old, a double album already at the pressing plant, a wife, 2 small children, and not one document saying what should happen to any of it. So the state stepped in and decided for him. That's what intestate means. No will, so the law fills in the blanks on your behalf. Under New York rules, a spouse and children divide the estate between them. And in Biggie's case, what's been reported for years is 50% to his widow, Faith Evans, 25% to Tiana, and 25% to his son, CJ.
What? 50% to Faith? Well, how long was they married before he died? 50% over my daughter, man. Give my kids more of a percentage there. You know what I mean? See, they got, yeah, that's crazy.
Worth being straight about that split, though. It shows up in almost every article written about this family, but you can't pull it from a public court record. It's what's commonly reported. Take it as that and nothing more. Because the percentages turned out to be the easy part anyway. The hard part was that the thing everybody assumed Biggie owned, his own music, he only owned half of.
Well, Big had to listen to Puff. You know, he had to listen to Puff because Puff owned his publishing and his marketing.
When Biggie signed his deal in the early 90s, he signed what almost every young rapper in that era signed, a standard publishing agreement. And standard, back then, meant the label took half. Sean Combs and
He was in a 360 deal. For those of you who don't know what that means, he's in a 360 deal.
Bad Boy held a 50% interest in Biggie's songwriting. That wasn't theft, and it wasn't a scandal. It was the going rate for a kid from Bed-Stuy with no leverage and no lawyer telling him to push back.
Damn.
Every artist his age was signing the same paper, but it meant something specific when he died. His family didn't inherit his catalog. They inherited half of it. So Tiana Wallace went to work. She was a Jamaican immigrant who'd raised him alone in Brooklyn on a preschool teacher's salary. She'd called his music noise. She had no background in publishing, no experience with licensing, no reason on earth to know what a master recording was worth. And she spent the next 23 years learning it. She brought in Mark Pitts and Wayne Barrow, two former Bad Boy executives, to run it with her. And here's what made the argument work. The estate was doing most of the labor. The estate was the one bringing deals to the table, chasing the licensing, keeping his name in circulation while Bad Boy collected on paper. So she went back to Combs and made him move.
As far as publishing and Puffy and myself, that was resolved.
In the early 2000s, he raised the estate's stake from 50% to 85%.
Damn. Yeah.
In 2020, she bought the last 15. And in 2023, the estate went back again and expanded its rights in the actual recordings through Bad Boy and Warner Music Group. 23 years to get all the way back to owning her own son. Sit with the numbers on that. Roughly $10 million when he died. Roughly $160 million by the time she was finished. So when you hear $200 million attached to Biggie's name, understand what that figure actually is. That's not money he left behind.
Salute.
That's money a woman in her 50s built.
Salute the moms. God damn. Now that's some boss shit. That's some boss shit, man. Salute the moms, man. Salute the moms.
One negotiation at a time, buying her dead child songs back off the label piece by piece. But the catalog wasn't the only thing Valletta went after, because she believed the men who killed her son were wearing badges. In 2002, Tiana Wallace and Faith Evans sued the city of Los Angeles, claiming LAPD officers were involved in Biggie's murder and the department covered it up. Every man named denied it. So did the city. The number on the filing was $500 million, 2.5 times what the entire estate would be worth 23 years later. The trial started June 21st, 2005. It lasted 3 days. An anonymous tip led the family's lawyers to a trove of LAPD documents the city had never turned over, and Judge Florence Marie Cooper declared a mistrial.
And they just kept hitting roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. Every one of their witnesses were getting discredited, and the case just kept falling apart.
8 years, a $500 million claim, and the family walked away with nothing but a sanctions order.
Damn.
Valletta died without ever getting an answer. That's
Damn, rest in peace, rest in peace, rest in peace.
what Tiana grew up inside. Not the money, the waiting. 200 miles east, in Brooklyn, Valletta's granddaughter was watching all of it and getting ready to do something with her share that nobody in the family expected. In 2013, Tiana was still at Penn State, still working that cafeteria job. and she launched a clothing line called Notorious with 2 S's.
And I was always into fashion, so by the time I got to my sophomore year in college,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I want to start a clothing line, and I did it.
Her brother CJ explained the reason for that publicly. It was her mark, her own individuality, tied to her father without being a copy of him. She was using the name she'd been given and putting her own signature on it. Notorious lived online at first. Photo shoots she set up with her college roommates. Orders she filled herself. Then the estate money started meaning something. And
See, this is why legacy is important, like I was discussing earlier. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to support his daughter because of the respect and love they have for him. You know what I mean? So you're seeing his daughter now. Like, if it was just any average girl off the street, made a brand called Notorious, you probably wouldn't even look at it half the time. You know what I'm saying? But if you hear Notorious big daughter has a line, you're probably going to search for it and find it, depending on how much love you got for him. You're going to search and buy some shit on support of him. You know what I mean? So legacy is everything, man. But back to this.
she put it into brick and mortar. December 2nd, 2017. She opened her first store at 512 Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn, her father's borough, blocks from where he grew up.
You mentioned your store. I'm so happy for you. Congratulations. This is the hometown of Biggie.
It is.
So it's only right that she opens up Biggie. It's called Notorious.
Jadakiss showed up. Lil Cease showed up. DJ Mr. C was on the turntables. More than 100 people
Damn,
lined
look
up
at that.
outside a clothing store
Salute.
owned by a 24-year-old.
Damn.
That's the same age Biggie was when he was killed. 15 months later, she moved it across the street to a bigger space at 503 Atlantic Avenue, right by the Barclays Center, and reopened on March 8th, 2019, with Lil Cease hosting again. Then
Fire.
came the pizzeria, Juicy Pizza, in Los
Wow.
Angeles, co-founded in 2021 with Tyra Myricks.
Huh? In Los Angeles. I ain't never saw that shit. I ain't never heard about that. Oh, is that still around? I gotta look that up.
And Master J's daughter.
In LA, instead of going on like an endless hunt, I just decided to like create a pizza shop. So I made the concept, fleshed it out, and hit Tiana like, hey, like we got to get this popping because I feel like it would be like super dope.
2 women who lost their fathers to shootings running a restaurant together. And this is the pattern that runs through everything Tiana does with her inheritance. She doesn't sit on it. She converts it. Every dollar that came out of her
Flip that
father's
shit.
catalog went into something with her name on the lease and her hands on the day-to-day. This will note into something nobody in Brooklyn saw coming. On March 9th, 2024, 27 years to the day since her father was killed, Tiana gutted her own store and reopened it as a museum. Same address,
Oh,
503 Atlantic Avenue. The Notorious Racks
The
came
Biggie.
out and the Biggie experience went in. The first museum in the world dedicated to the Notorious B.I.G.
That's fire.
She rebuilt his childhood bedroom from 226 St. James Place inside it.
That's fire.
Eggshell blue walls, a Sanyo stereo playing Big Daddy Kane on cassette, Timberlands in the closet, an RCA television running the episode of Martin he cameoed in. Past that, a recreation of the bodega at Fulton and St. James where he did the 1989 freestyle people still pull up today.
That's hard, dog. She's a fucking genius for that. Oh my God. That's some genius shit right there. Like, that's some shit. If I was like a super Biggie fan, I'm a fan of Biggie, but if I go to New York and I'm a super Biggie fan for sure, I got to go see that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's hard. That's vicious. And it's right down the block from where he grew up. You know what I mean? It don't get no more gangster than that. Like, damn, I'm right here where he grew up at on his block. His daughter owned this shit. This is where his room was. These are the items from his room. That's crazy.
8 exhibits total. Her reasoning was simple. Reading about him on paper is one thing. Standing in his room is another.
Okay, so talk to us about the Biggie experience.
The Brooklyn fans, or all Biggie fans, are coming to Brooklyn and they want a place to see all the Biggie stuff.
Yeah.
So it sparked it from there, and I just been putting it into fruition, and I finally was like, I need to do this now.
So the business she'd spent 11
smart.
years building, she handed over to him, and she opened it on the 9th of March.
That's
Hold on
fire.
to that date. 11 months later, the woman who actually
birthday.
built this empire was gone. Tiana Wallace died on February 21st, 2025 at her
Rest in
home
peace.
in Pennsylvania. 78 years old, in hospice, natural causes.
The mother of the late great rapper Notorious B.I.G. is being
Rest in
mourned
peace
tonight.
to her.
Violetta Wallace died this morning at her home in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, where she was in hospice.
She'd spent her last year negotiating the biggest deal in the history of her son's catalog, and she didn't live to see it close. 4 weeks later, it closed. On March 20th, Primary Wave bought a 50% stake in the estate. The publishing, the masters, and rights to his name and likeness. Neither side disclosed the price. The Wall Street Journal valued the estate at over $200 million, and Billboard later reported the deal at $100 million. So half of what Valletta spent 23 years buying back went out the door for 9 figures, 1 month after she was buried. And that's when the family went to war over it. Valletta had run everything through a company called Notorious B.I.G. LLC.
Oz wasn't playing. She was doing her shit. She was on her shit.
Owned 50-50 between her own trust and Faith Evans. When she died, Evans became sole manager of the whole operation. On
shit.
July 2nd, 2025, Wayne Barrow, the executor of Valletta's estate, sued her in Delaware, accusing her of withholding the trust's share of the money and refusing to hand over the paperwork showing what was even sold.
God damn it. They was doing so good. Everything was perfect, man. And mama was making sure everything was in great standings, the family getting their money. And here comes Faith Evans. God damn, Faith. You just had to fuck things up. Being greedy, man. God damn, you already getting 50%. His kids getting 25, man. What is you doing? Why you gotta fuck this shit up? Why you gotta fuck up a good thing, man?
Evans has never publicly responded to any of it. There's been no ruling. But buried in that filing is one sentence that answers the question everybody actually clicked on this video for. Barrow's own words. Miss Evans has distributed sale proceeds to Tiana, CJ, and presumably to herself. There it is. In a sworn court document written by the man fighting over this money, confirmation that Biggie's daughter got paid out of a $100 million deal. How much? The exact number sits in a sealed Delaware court file, and nobody outside that room has ever seen it. If you want to know where the Wallace fight is heading, look at who else is standing in that same Delaware courtroom. Prince died in April of 2016. No will, from a man who spent his entire career fighting record labels for ownership of his own masters.
What? Prince, how the fuck you die with no will? How Prince didn't have a will ready? Golly, man, niggas don't be thinking they gonna die, man. Niggas don't be having life insurance. Niggas don't be having a will. Niggas don't be having nothing. They just think they're gonna live forever. And there's nothing wrong with feeling like you're gonna live forever. But goddamn, man, when you got that much money, when you out here, nigga, multi-millions, you better have a will in place and somewhere this shit could go after you're gone, brother, because you never know. Accidents happen every day.
The IRS eventually valued his estate at $156 million. Primary Wave bought out 3 of his half-siblings. In 2022, the estate was split down the middle. Primary Wave's holding company on one side and LLC holding the family's half on the other. Everybody called it the end of the litigation. 2 years later, the family half was suing itself over control of that LLC.
A year after a legal battle,
Can't give niggas nothing, man.
was finally settled. The heirs of the music legend are now suddenly back in court again.
Can't
This
give
time
niggas
they're fighting
nothing.
against or among each other over allegations that certain family members are trying to wrongfully seize control.
That case is in Delaware Chancery Court in front of Chancellor Kathleen McCormick, the same judge now sitting on Biggie's. Same structure, same buyer, same courtroom. An artist who died without a will, a company that bought half, a family left holding the other half, and fighting over who runs it. Prince has been dead 10 years, and it still isn't finished. The Wallace case is 13 months old, but Tiana's been spending it in public for 2 years. And once you line up what she's bought, what she's opened, and what she's got coming this fall, you can do the math yourself. Nobody has audited Tiana Wallace's finances, but you can assemble a picture of what she's holding because most of it is either public record or standing on a Brooklyn sidewalk. The house first, $1.5 million in Brooklyn in her name. And the reason we know that figure precisely is the one chapter of this story that doesn't fit the rest of it.
Tiana Wallace's boyfriend and baby father, right? He was recently arrested for running over a mother and a toddler.
On August 10th.
God damn it. God damn it. This story started out so amazing. Now this shit is just going downhill, man. What the fuck, man? God damn, man. It was doing so good. Mother Wallace was holding it down. Rest in peace. Bless her soul. Mother Wallace, you did an amazing job. Rest in peace, Mother Wallace. But God damn it, this shit is going to shits right now, man. Let's keep watching.
2022, her longtime boyfriend Tyshawn Baldwin, the father of her daughter, was stopped by police in Queens driving a Dodge Hellcat. His license came back suspended. Prosecutors say he took off and hit 3 pedestrians, including a mother and her 2-year-old. He surrendered 6 days later and was arraigned on 17 counts, including first-degree assault, facing up to 25 years. A judge set bond at $1 million. Tiana put her house up as collateral and got him out.
So what happened is the big story for people is that she ended up putting up her crib in Brooklyn for his bail, and she posted $1 million bail for this.
That's how the appraisal became public record. A bail bondsman accepted a Brooklyn home at $1.5 million, and the paperwork went into a Queens court file. It's the only time in 13 years that this woman's name has shown up in a courtroom for something other than her father.
Oh man, she loved that nigga. I sure hope he's a good man. You know what I mean? To put up $1 million, put this house up for you. Hey, it ain't too many bitches that can do that for you, brother. So you better, and it's Biggie Smalls' daughter, bro. It's like, don't be that guy that's known for fucking over Biggie Smalls' daughter and making her lose her house and all kind of other shit. You don't want that stain on your name, man.
Atlantic Avenue space is the other hard asset. She's held that lease since 2019 on one of the busiest retail corridors in the borough, through a pandemic that emptied out half the storefronts around her. Then the operating businesses. Notorious, 13 years old and still shipping. The museum, ticketed, open 2 years. And the pizzeria in Los Angeles with Tyra Myricks, Jam Master Jay's daughter, and about the only person alive who understands what Tiana's inheritance actually feels like.
I don't want to say yay or nay. I want to say that,
What the fuck is
politically
this?
correct thing to say is that my daughter's taken care of by her father.
Oh shit. Oh, that's the mama. Damn, the mama look like Biggie. They look like twins.
Celebrity net worth sites put her around $20 million. Take that loosely because those outlets don't publish methodology and no accountant has ever signed off on it. But stack up what we do know. A beneficiary stake in a catalog the Wall Street Journal valued at $200 million. A confirmed distribution from a $100 million sale, the property, the 4 businesses, and $20 million doesn't look aggressive. After what moved through that estate in 2025, it looks conservative. And here's the part that should tell you something. Scroll her Instagram and there's no yacht footage, no Birkin hauls, no mansion tour. For a woman holding that kind of paper in 2026, the feed is almost dull. Product drops, museum hours, her daughter. Everything.
She not a flexer, man. She getting to the business. She handling business, basically. I'm not on here to flex and front for you motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? But God damn it, Faith, what the hell are you doing? Faith, what are you doing? They say she split the money though, so I don't know. She said the daughter got her cut of the money. Was it a fair cut? Was it? Yeah, we don't know.
She's taken out of her father's name has gone straight back into a lease, including the one she signs this fall. This fall, she opens a steakhouse in Manhattan called Big Papa's.
Biggie's daughter
Nice.
is planning on opening a restaurant.
The place is supposed to be called Big Papa's.
That's dope.
Caribbean-infused menu because Valletta was Jamaican, and that's the branch of the family the food comes from. Named for the record that put her father on pop radio in 1995. It's a serious escalation. Retail and a ticketed museum are inventory businesses. You buy stock, you sell stock. A full-service Manhattan restaurant is payroll, perishables, health inspections, liquor licensing, and a lease in the most expensive food market in America. Most of them close inside 5 years, and that's the ones opened by people who've run restaurants before. She did a private tasting in Midtown to build the menu, and what she was doing there was market research.
That's big.
Yeah, she did I heard that she did a
doing her thing.
tasting to try out the menu to see what it is.
I love that.
I seen some pictures from it. They had like Biggie like stamped into the burgers and all of that.
Into the buns. That was
That was
fire,
cool, good marketing.
Lil Kim, Lil Cease, and Junior Maffa eating plates and telling her what to cut. Those aren't guests at a launch party. They're the only focus group on Earth that can tell her whether a dish tastes like her father's house. She scheduled that tasting for March 9th. Same date she opened the museum in 2024. Same date her father was shot dead in Los Angeles in 1997. Every time this woman opens something, she does it on the anniversary of his murder. The day her family lost him is the day she picks to start something. While Tiana was building a museum out of drywall and cassette tapes, the estate was building a second version of her father entirely.
I like seeing Junior Mafia still in their life, man. Like, that's tight. I just saw Lil Kim, Lil C, like all Junior Mafia taking a picture with her. That's tight. That's tight, man. That's fucking tight.
In 2022, they announced The Brook, a virtual recreation of 1990s Brooklyn, where fans could buy virtual real estate, attend concerts, and trade NFTs. The centerpiece was a hyper-realistic avatar of Biggie, built by a VFX company called Hyperreal from photographs and old footage of him. Valletta signed off on it. She called it a beautiful rendition of her son. That December, Meta put it on stage. Sky's the Limit, a VR concert experience, premiered inside Meta Horizon Worlds on the 16th. A digital Christopher Wallace performed his catalog for anybody with a headset, while Diddy, The Lox, Lotto, and Lil Cease performed alongside him.
Lotto? All right, AI, you lost me there, cuz. What the fuck? That was so fucking random, bro.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Where the hell did Lotto come in at?
A digital Christopher Wallace performed his catalog for anybody with a headset, while Diddy, The Lox, Lotto, and Lil Cease performed alongside him. Touré narrated it. They billed it as a celebration of the 50th birthday he never reached. 25 years dead, and he played a show. Now hold that next to what the sale did. In March of 2025, Primary Wave bought publishing, masters, and 50% of his name, image, and likeness. The face, the voice, the avatar. And according to the Wall Street Journal, what they're considering with it includes a Biggie production on Broadway and further immersive experiences built around that digital version of him. Larry Mestel, who runs Primary Wave, said the plan going forward is to do less but larger. So there are two Biggies being built right now. One is a company with $100 million in the deal, engineering a version of him that can be put on any stage in the world forever without needing the man. The other is his daughter in a room on Atlantic Avenue, putting his actual Timberlands back in a closet, which is really the answer to the question this whole thing started with. The $200 million is the Wall Street Journal's valuation, and half of that sold for a reported $100 million in March of 2025. The money reaching Tiana is confirmed in writing in a Delaware filing by the man suing over that same pot. The size of her cut is the only piece nobody outside the courtroom can see. But none of that was Biggie's to leave.
Who the fuck is that guy?
In 1997, he left about $10 million and half a publishing contract. Everything stacked on top of it, his mother built. 23 years buying her son's catalog back off the label, 1 percentage point at a time, finishing the job in 2020 and selling half of it in the last year of her life. Look at what that empire produced for the people still standing.
Crazy.
A grandmother who spent her final months negotiating a deal she didn't live 4 more weeks to see close.
Damn.
A widow accused in court of holding money back. A trustee asking a judge